So I'm joined by a man who, according to Roy Keane in his autobiography, is the only goalkeeper he's ever seen applauded in a training session for his performance. Craig Gordon, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good memory of that. It was a good training session, one of the best I've ever had. Actually, just so happened to be on the first day of training at Sunderland.
I think you're one of only 7 people in this world who's ever been praised by Roy Keane, so that's a badge of
That's
honour.
a high number. I'm happy with that. Yeah.
We're going to talk today about some international memories. One in particular, I want to take you back to 2007. And Scotland had already beaten France by 1-0. Gary Caldwell at Hampden the year before. This was part of Euro qualifying for Euro 2008. And you went to Paris in 2007. Did you honestly think that Scotland had a chance of beating one of the world's best?
But we'd managed to do it at home. Going away from home is a whole different ball game. Going to actually the game got switched because of the rugby, so we ended up playing it at PSG instead, which might have put them off. They weren't expecting to play there, so that was the first little bit that was perhaps in our favour. And no, we did not expect to go there and do what we had done before. We camped out in our own box at Hampden. We defended everything and managed to get a goal from a set piece, and it was everything that we wanted. But to then go away from home and try and beat a team that was absolutely jam-packed of worldwide famous names. I don't think we really believed that we could do that. But what we did believe in was the fact that we had a very solid team with great professionals that could do a job. And we put everything into that game and managed to come out on the back of another 1-0 victory. And to keep the likes of those players out, Thierry Henry, Trezeguet, Malouda, the names and the list is endless. Ribery, those types of guys, to keep them out for 2 games, 2 clean sheets was just an incredible story.
We'll get to the game in a minute. The game at Hampden that you won by a 1-0 with Gary Caldwell, Walter Smith was in charge. Alex McLeish was the man in charge in Paris. What was the build-up like? I mean, Thierry Henry had said after Hampden, "We'll see you in Paris." Was that ever mentioned, or how did he make sure that you were prepared for the game in Paris?
As you say, we had changed managers midway through the campaign, which was unusual because we were so successful during that campaign. We had a lot of wins, a lot of clean sheets. But when Alex came in, he tried to keep everything the same as what had been going so well for us. Really difficult to break down, didn't lose many goals. And if we could have nicked something from a set piece, get a breakaway goal, that is what we were really good at. We were good on the counter-attack with players that could get us goals and do something special, as you've seen in the game in Paris. So it was, for him, it was about keeping the belief and keeping the momentum going that had already been started early in the campaign. And as it wore on, we really did start to believe that even though the group had looked so daunting to start with, we really gave ourselves a good chance of qualifying.
I want to ask about Alex's team talk in a minute. However, the night before, you played or you trained at the Parc des Princes. As you mentioned, the Stade de France was unavailable. And James McFadden, in an interview, he obviously got the goal, was talking about noticing something different about the footballs, because the French were contracted to use Adidas footballs, and he said in training the night before they were flying. He was hitting them from everywhere. Some were going in, some were going wild, but he made the decision that night, the night before, that he was going to try a couple of shots from distance. Were you aware of the different balls, and how did you cope with them?
Yeah, we'd obviously train with them just only on the night before, so it was quite a... that does happen in international football. You get to a country, you get the balls, and you have 1 or 2 days to get used to them, and they can be quite different. And especially at that stage, Adidas were bringing out some quite light, quite lively balls that would move in the air, and a lot of the guys, were enjoying hitting shots from very far out and getting the balls to move in the air, which was causing difficulties for the goalkeepers. And for me especially, I remember Malouda hitting a shot quite early on, so midway through the first half from distance, that it was quite a difficult one. It was low to my left-hand side that I had to catch and hold on. Any spillages would have been a goal. So it was something that we were aware of, and especially the goalkeepers when we were training beforehand were making sure that we were trying to get as used to it as we possibly could.
The team talk, was it a rousing speech? Was it hey, you can do this? What was he like in the dressing room at Parc des Princes, Alex McLeish, prior to the game against France away from home?
Very upbeat. He very much believed in the guys that could go out there and get a result, and to believe in each other. And that is something that we had. We had tremendous belief in each other to go out and stick together, and really fight to get the result. You could see that in the performance, how many times we had to block the ball, guys chucking their body in front of it. It really was a heroic performance. Probably more so from the guys in front of me. The back line stood up to absolutely everything that those guys had to throw at them. And yeah, we gave away, I think it was 9 or 10 corners in the game, and everything that came in just got headed away. We cleared everything. And obviously had to ride our luck. They had a few good chances that thankfully they didn't take. But overall, it was a magnificent performance from every single one that played that night.
Yeah, you had a lot of streetwise players as well. You mentioned the back four: Hutton, McManus, Weir, and Alexander. I mean, they'd been round the block. They knew how to handle themselves. McCulloch, Ferguson, Fletcher, Brown, Hartley, McFadden. There's no rookies in there. That's a team that the camaraderie must have been good in the dressing room.
Yeah, it was. It was, as you say, it was very experienced, especially at that level. The kind of younger players, even in that team, myself, James McFadden, Dan Fletcher, Scott Brown, they had already been playing quite a number of games in the national team from a young age. So they had a lot of caps behind them. So they were quite a well-established team that had played together for a number of years. So we did know what we were doing. As you say, it was streetwise, and it was a team that would knock the ball into the corners and waste time and do all the things in the game that are not pretty but very effective. And I think that night, epitomised that everybody was working towards a common goal. And yes, it wasn't pretty for long spells in the game. We hardly touched the ball. We defended so deep. And when we did get that one chance, we managed to take it. And even after we scored, we kind of grew into the game and had a few more half chances. We even had a shout for a penalty at one stage. But that was how we'd set out, to defend first and grow into the game as we went along.
I love the fact that the two subs they brought on, Samir Nasri and Karim Benzema, that kind of tells you the level of the players they had. Londro in goal, Lassana Diarra, Thuram, Escudé, Abidal, Ribery, Vieira, Makelele, Malouda, Trezeguet and Anelka. Come on now.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent team. You got to say that was as good as what was in world football at that stage. There wasn't many better teams. They weren't long off the back of winning World Cups and European Championships. So some of those players had been involved in that. And yeah, to beat them twice and to beat them in their own backyard is one of these magical stories that, as we are speaking today, so many years after it, and I'm sure we'll continue to speak about special nights like those for years to come.
So 63.5 minutes on the watch. You've got the ball. Now, there's only so long you get away with delaying tactics. You don't really have options. Your two fullbacks aren't really in a position to take it. Centre, this is 2007. Football hadn't started yet, remember, with a goalkeeper using his feet and all that nonsense. So you decided to go long. Then what happened?
I think every decision was to go long on that particular night. If I could kick it wide and it went out for a throw-in, that wasn't so bad. So that was the kind of game plan. With Lee McCulloch peeling off one side for me to try and aim goal kicks at. But as it got into the second half, they got wise to that, started putting more players over on that side. So I tried to hit this one pretty much as hard as I could and kick it as far as I could. You mentioned the balls, they did fly, so you were getting really good distance on them. And I caught it really sweetly. It landed straight to James McFadden, who took a wonderful touch to bring it down. Turned around, seen that there was nothing in front of him. I think there was 4 guys coming to close him down, so he decided to take on a shot from a ridiculous distance. and it flew straight in. The goalkeeper got a hand to it, pushed it into the top corner, and the Scottish fans went absolutely crazy. But I was thinking at that time, 63 minutes, we've still got an awful long time to go. We've just made them angry. So even although it was a great goal, at that stage I was thinking it was too soon to start celebrating. We still had an awful lot of work to do.
I love that quote about we just made them angry. I remember in the 1982 World Cup when David Nery scored that famous toe poke, according to Jimmy Hill, against Brazil, and the commentator was along the lines of, oh my goodness, they may have just made them angry. But unlike that game, you didn't concede. Now, the goal is scored. McFadden's gone and gone nuts, understandably so. His teammates have joined in. You're up the other end of the park. You've just got the assist. So how do you celebrate?
I was still thinking it was too early, so I thought, okay, that's good, but I was quite happy at 0-0 because it was the game was calm now. That the tempo was going to be lifted. They were going to come looking for goals, so I was thinking, okay, that means I'm going to be a little bit more busy between now and the end of the game. And yeah, I was very happy with the assist and the goal, but we're quite level-headed. I know the celebrations were good, but everybody, you can see when everybody's in the sort of huddle after the goal, they're talking to each other. They know there's still a big job to be done, and the focus within that group was so good. They're straight back onto it and getting back to their jobs.
I would normally say if the shoe was on the other foot, but in this instance, if the glove was on the other hand, and that was a French shot, and it had beaten you like that, and you did what Landreau did, the goalkeeper for France, would you have been unhappy with your attempt to keep that out?
Yeah, for being honest, that there was a possible save in there. It was a great strike. The balls did move around. You can see even in the replays of that was been watched back so many times that it does move in the air. Having said that, there was a possible save. He could have maybe got two hands to it rather than one. And fortunate for us, it went in because it was a possible save. But it's one of these ones that as a goalkeeper sometimes that can happen. But yeah, you would be thinking that he was probably a little bit disappointed not to have kept it out.
As a non-goalkeeper, we look at things and we see that and we're like, why does it look like he's gone with it with the wrong hand? Can you explain why goalkeepers appear to maybe, to us, he's gone with the wrong hand, but is it really the wrong hand? Is it the right hand?
It depends. It's different technique. And the smaller goalkeepers tend to use their top hand to get more height. 6'5" myself, so that's not really a big problem as going with the top hand. But that is a technique thing, and at that stage you'd probably say that was more of a foreign technique. I'd imagine that the French would be working on that. It's something that their goalkeepers all use that technique, so it is something that is crept more and more into the game. You see it all the time now, and yeah, it's a reaction one. You're trying to cover that side of the goal, and with the balls moving as well, you sometimes have to use your hands independently and make the reaction even as the ball's in the air. So it's not when the ball has left the striker's foot. You're constantly reevaluating the ball on its journey all the way to you, and he didn't make enough contact with the one hand, and it still went in.
The one thing I noticed from watching this game back in Paris, you weren't as busy as I thought you would be facing a team of that quality. And it reminded me of something you said to me, I think, a few months after you joined Sunderland, when I asked how everything was going. And you're like, I'm not as busy as I was up in Scotland because the quality of striker is better, that they take fewer chances to score as many goals. Were you surprised at how, not easy it was, but how quiet it was in front of your goal as far as saves are concerned because the defence did so many blocks? Yeah,
the defence were great, and you have to give them a lot of credit for that. France did put us under a lot of pressure. They had all the ball. They had the ball in our half an awful lot. They had loads of touches in the box, but they just couldn't get their shots off. The ones that did were relatively straightforward. There's a few half-decent saves, but I wouldn't say there was anything that would be on my highlights reel. There was some good pieces of play, but they didn't really cut us open. There was only maybe 2 or 3 times where they had clear-cut chances, and either they didn't hit the shot particularly well, or it was close enough for me to make the save. And that was just seemed to be what was happening. We had that little bit of luck, and for whatever reason they just couldn't score past Scotland, and we managed to get two incredible results.
Franck Ribery had an attempt that he did well to save. It was a 1-2 with Trezeguet. We saw it so often at Bayern and with France as well. As a goalkeeper, how do you set yourself knowing fine well what he's likely to do and cut inside?
Yeah, that one you're talking about was a fantastic move. Some of the passes that really did open us up, but you sometimes just have to hold your hands up and say it was good football. They played it really well and created a massive chance. And yeah, he tried to go near post and think that I was perhaps going to read it and go the other side, but I stayed up long enough to realise that he was going towards the near post and managed to make. Then was a comfortable save. He probably wishes he'd gone the other side where there was more space, but he did try and be a little bit clever. And thankfully, I managed to stay up long enough and not guess and be able to react and make that save.
Is that the key? Because the other save I want to mention is the one from Nicolas Anelka after he'd been played through a square ball from Ribery and he's in there. When you've got the whites of the eyes of the striker right in front of you, how do you cope? Is it all about staying high, making yourself big, or what do you do?
Yeah, it's about being still at that moment of contact and being able to react as quickly as possible, either side. That one you mentioned, he hit it very hard. It was very quickly. It came at me quite quickly, but it was straight. And I always pride myself on my reactions and being able to react when anything is kind of round about me. It's no matter how hard it's hit, I always fancy my chances of getting something on it, getting a block. And although it was quite a quick reaction save, it was probably just above my head and managed to get my hand up quick enough to deflect it over. It was a big chance, but it was straight, and that's what gave me the opportunity to make the save.
Were you busier in that game in Paris or in the first game at Hampden?
Similar. Not much difference. They had two or three good opportunities. I think Thierry Henry hit the post from the edge of the box in the first game.
Yeah, and they had a couple disallowed as well, I believe, if I remember right.
Yeah. So they had spells of pressure, but again, no major saves that I can recall that were big saves. There's a few kind of routine things, and my handling had to be good and make sure I was holding on to balls that they fizzed across the face and things like that, but not anything that you would expect facing a team with those kind of names. It was relatively quiet, which was unusual. Going into the game, I was very prepared, thinking I was maybe going to have to make 10 saves for the team to get something from the game. And that didn't really happen. And I think that's from the way we played, how we frustrated them. And I know you mentioned before, we were streetwise. We wasted time. We did everything possible that was in our powers to kind of take away all the flair players and the quality that they had, and managed to do it.
You swapped jerseys at Hampden with Gregory Coupé, the French goalkeeper. You didn't with Mikel Landreau in Paris.
Yeah, I just thought it was such a great moment. I wanted to keep my own strip. I still have it. I've recently moved house and I've got a big load of strips to sort through. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. I'll find it when I'm sorting through that lot. So
you've got your win over France. Here's how the table looks after that victory. Scotland, top of the table, played 9, 21 points. Italy, 9, 20 points. France, 9, 19 points. You've got Ukraine at home, then you go to Georgia and Italy at home. You didn't qualify. The Italy Panucci late winner at Hampden, but it was the Georgia game, wasn't it, that was the killer?
Yeah, we went across there. We had a couple of suspensions. The team wasn't quite the same as what it had been. And yeah, we had an off night. It was probably suited us playing the bigger teams in that group where we could defend and then hit on the break. And then we faced a team that were actually wanting to do the same. We weren't as good at going out and attacking and taking the game to teams that were maybe not as good as what we were. It suited us to soak up the pressure and then exploit the spaces. And when we had to flip that around and go chasing the game, we kind of lost our way across there. ended up with a loss. That was the one that really cost us the chance. I mean, the late goal against Italy was a little bit immaterial. We needed to win that game.
Yeah.
A draw probably wasn't going to be enough. So we were throwing bodies forward. We got caught in the last minute, and that's how it all panned out. But definitely, as you say, the Georgia game is the one that I will always remember for being the one that cost us that chance.
So many frustrating things about that campaign, because if you had qualified, it would have meant that we wouldn't still be talking about Craig Burley being the last player to score for Scotland at a major tournament.
Yeah, and it's oh so long ago. I remember watching those growing up, watching the tournaments where Scotland were involved, and coming towards the last few years of my career now, it's something that I've dreamt about doing, and been able to be involved with a Scotland team that manages to get to a major finals, and I hope I've still got one or two more chances left to do that. But as time runs out, it becomes more and more a desperate thing for me to try and achieve. I've done so much in my career, it really would be the sort of special finishing touch to that for me.
Have you given up hope, or is there still a big chance? Because if you can get back playing again, then everyone needs good goalkeepers, and Scotland has been blessed over the years with good goalkeepers. So fingers crossed that there could be one last hurrah, whether it's Euro 2021.
That's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'll be striving for when we get football back up and running, and I can get back out there and see if I can get back playing games and give myself the opportunity to get back in the national team. And that's something that's what will be driving me on to all the training sessions at home, like what everybody is doing at the moment, to really get back to full-time football and playing games and give myself that opportunity, that one last big effort to try and get to a major championships.
So how are you keeping fit? Have you got the girls pinging passes and then try to hit the top corner in the back garden? Or what
not quite. They're not quite old enough to be pinging passes, but they're they like to join in. They're playing swing ball at the moment, actually, out in the garden. So at least that could keep my eye in for a little bit. I'll play that for a wee while. But yeah, the club have been great as well. They've been sending out exercise equipment to all the players and making sure all the dietary, nutrition, they're sending emails every day of everything for us to keep us going, to targets for us to hit with our exercises. So they've done everything they possibly can to help us guys get through this period where we're stuck at home and working from home. So it's something that we have to deal with, but hopefully we get back and keep ourselves in good condition, and we can get back and finish this season, because we're in such a strong position domestically. So hopefully we can finish that off.
Finally, it's not Euro 2020 as such, although it will be Euro 2020 and Euro 2021 when it's played. And if Scotland qualify, they've got England at Wembley, which would be fun. The thing that gets me, Craig, is that you've got two young daughters. I've got an even younger daughter at 2. And of course, they weren't around when Scotland last qualified. There are 22-year-olds on this planet that were not even born when Scotland last qualified. So I know it's Israel at home and then Norway or Serbia away, whenever. But the carrot of Euro 2020 in 2021 against England and others is massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge, and it's just a few games. That is that close, and as you can see, we've just been talking about games where anything can happen. It's 2 games where if we put in our best performance, we've definitely got the players that are capable of winning those games. They're not easy, but with that added incentive of getting to our finals on the back of it, to play England, even just to qualify, but to have that as well is a huge incentive for everybody involved with Scotland to get there and give it everything to try and make sure that happens. Because 22 years is such a long time, and it would be nice to see that come to an end.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.